Hello, welcome to ThePrint. I am Amana Begam Ansari. I am a regular columnist with ThePrint and I'm a writer and I'm also a former research associate. So, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was not just a political leader, he was a tyrant, a theocratic ruler, and a senior Twelver Shia jurist whose authority went far beyond the borders of Iran. For many Shia Muslims worldwide, he was also a spiritual reference point. That is why his death carries emotional weight for Shia communities everywhere, including in India, which has one of the largest Shia population outside Iran and Iraq. And so a conflict unfolding thousands of kilometers away suddenly begins to touch lives much closer to home. Geopolitics is rarely simple, no matter how much we try to reduce it to narrative. We can see the full spectrum of reaction. While people are celebrating Khamenei's death, seeing it as as a fall of a brutal authoritarian figure, others are condemning the US-Israeli strike as a violence of international law, calling them acts of war. And many Indian Muslims mourn his death, seeing him as a religious martyr. Everyone looks at the same event through their own lens: ideology, politics, history, and lived experience. So, for years, ordinary Iranians have lived under a repressive system, risking their lives for basic freedom, facing arrest, violence, and even death for speaking up. Now, once again, it is the same ordinary people who are likely to become victim of escalation. Foreign strikes, retaliation, and instability, all of it will land first on the lives of the people. Whatever strategic calculation are being made in distant capitals, it will be Iranian families who wake up each morning with uncertainty, fear, and the constant question of what tomorrow might bring. And that is the truth. Those who lose the most are almost always civilians. Beyond every strategic angle and ideological debate, my thoughts go first to them, for simply as a human being caught in forces far bigger than themselves. War not only takes lives, it takes futures. Those of us who experience war only through headlines would be mistaken to think that these conflicts belong to some distant land. That illusion of distance is comforting, but it is not real. Even if you live in India, the price of war eventually reaches you. War reshapes economies, societies, and daily life in a ways that linger for generations. And when a region as critical as Middle East is pulled into conflicts, it's not mystery that global oil and gas prices are going to spike. And a significant share of India's energy imports comes from the Middle East, along with a large portion of remittances. The conflict between Israel, Iran, and the US is also impacting India more visibly, especially among Indian Shia Muslims. Along with these broader impacts, many in the community have been in mourning since Khamenei's death. For them, he was not only the political leader of Iran, but also a religious authority. Khamenei is regarded as a marzi taqlid, or you can say source of emulation, meaning many Shias look to such figures for spiritual and religious guidance. In India, especially in places like Srinagar, Lucknow, and Hyderabad, where Shia communities are significant, his influence carried emotional as well as a religious meaning. The ripples of it are now visible within Indian society. Some cleric and religious institutions in those regions also maintain ties with seminaries in Iran, which shape how figures like Khamenei are viewed within the section of the community. However, this movement of mourning has quickly turned into yet another loyalty test on social media, not just for Shia community but for all Indian Muslims. I understand why many liberals question the morality and mourning of a figure associated with dictatorship, brutality, and misogyny within Iran, and I do share their views as well. Those criticisms are valid and deserve to be part of an honest conversation. Indian Muslims, whether Shia or Sunni, do need to ask themselves what kind of leaders and figures they choose to look up to. Some soul searching within the community is necessary. Yet at the same time, people also have the right to mourn peacefully, even when the figure being mourned is controversial. Grief does not always follow neat political logic. What is disturbing is how this movement is being used by some right-wing voices to paint all Indian Muslims as a traitor and inhumane. False claims are circulating that Muslims remained silent during terrorist attacks in India, but are now mourning a foreign leader. Anyone interested in the truth can easily look up to the many instances, all those events from Kashmir to Lucknow, where Indian Muslims were at the forefront, raising their voice against terror attack. Um, Propaganda ignores these realities and deliberately feeds suspicion. It turns a complex and emotional movement into a simplistic story of betrayal, one that does nothing except add to mistrust and polarization. What worries me even more is how easily distant conflicts are imported into our own social division. A war thousands of kilometers away suddenly becomes another battlefield for domestic identity politics. People being begin demanding that fellow citizens prove where their loyalties lies, as it grief, criticism, or silence must follow religious lines. In such an environment, empathy disappears and suspicion takes its place. Instead of seeing each other as a fellow Indians navigating a complicated world, we start seeing each other as a representative of global religious camps. This is a dangerous place for any society to reach. What is happening in the Middle East today will shape many things: global politics, economies, alliances. But if we are not careful, it will also shape how we treat each other at home. Importing distant conflicts into our own social division only weakens us as a society. India has always been strongest when it refused to reduce people to religious camps, and when it understood that shared citizenship mattered more than imported loyalties. In a world increasingly consumed by war, perhaps the real challenge is this: to hold on to our humanity, to refuse the easy temptation of suspicion, and to remember that before any identity, we are all simply human beings who deserve peace.